Don't start cashing those checks that you're getting from distributors because you don't know what's going to happen.
Who watching right now wouldn't love an offer from a record label?
If one creates a melody that shares half of the notes but not all the notes to a song in the same genre.
You're sneaky.
Sneaky. How does it work if you're using your legal name and another artist is using the same name? We get this question a lot.
If you're using it as your brand, your legal name is your artist name. It's the same process. We still want to get your trademark, and we want to then, take care of other people who are infringing or causing confusion in the marketplace. So that's definitely one you want to get into touch with a trademark attorney and get some help.
Are record deals dead?
They're not.
No.
Come on. Who watching right now wouldn't love an offer from a record label? Things have changed. And in fact, guys, I released a video talking about, what the new record label deal looks like. And it's kind of scary. And there's things you need to be aware of. If you haven't watched that, make sure you check it out later on. But yeah, these are the deals I do every day, and they're absolutely happening.
The record deal doesn't mean really anything unless you have some kind of clout behind you, unless you've already been building, unless you already kind of have an understanding. Because if you don't have an understanding of the music business, if you haven't already built up your infrastructure, if you're not just using the label just to help pour gasoline on the fire, well, then you've kind of already lost. So don't just think that record label, oh, I just got to get signed and that's it. And then, that could just be the start of your problems. If you're not ready. Is it smart for co-writers of songs to sign an agreement between them stating that they are 50-50 owners?
100%. And it's not just so it's a collaboration agreement. It should not only define the ownership splits, but it should be like, when do, whoever's collecting the money on behalf of everyone else, because there's one account. When you distribute, there's one account. So who's going to pay everyone else? Who gets to make decisions? What does the credit look like? All this stuff needs to be in that same agreement in regards to also ownership.
That decisions thing is huge. Like, one person needs to have the authorization to make decisions on what happens to it. Do you find Facebook or Instagram best?
It's funny. So Delgado and Law, we're on all social media platforms separate from Top Music Attorney. And one of my attorneys was messaging me yesterday, and he's like, hey, I noticed that you link to Delgado and Law on Facebook. And he was basically saying, he's like, Facebook is like so dead. Isn't that kind of like, you shouldn't even be saying that you're associated with Facebook? It made me laugh that someone even said that, because actually, obviously millions and millions and millions of people still use Facebook every day. It's even a great platform to market on as far as costs, reach, all of that. It was a funny insight.
Facebook still works for ads. Facebook still can convert, but you'll notice that Facebook pages definitely don't have a lot of interaction, but people are still on it. I think people are just using their social media differently. I like Instagram. It just depends on what kind of content that you're making, honestly. Like, Instagram is really great for some things. TikTok is really great for some things. But, X, I need to get more into X because it has been having another resurgence of people just getting great content and getting real numbers on your stuff. So do you think it's wise not to get involved in AI music yet and let the dust settle first? I personally, I would, if you're going to do it, just don't get your hopes up. Don't start cashing those checks that you're getting from all these distributors, because you don't know what's going to happen. I know that I don't feel comfortable. I don't feel comfortable. If you've been on this channel for a while, you've seen me go back and forth. When I was like, oh my God, this is going to end the world. And then I was like, I mean, I hear what you guys are saying. It's not going to be the end, but like, I don't know. I know I'm not comfortable using it in my original music right now. I mean, if I want to use inspiration from other things, I do cover songs. I like doing covers. I like doing that kind of stuff if I need to. Or if it's something is that serious, I will reach out to the person and try to get the rights to get a sample.
Look, our job is to follow what's going on. And my biggest concern for you guys was just helping you just to set up for success. When it comes to having something that's successful later on, the best thing is that you can sell it. If it's your original music, if it's AI created, you don't own it. You don't have the copyright in it. You can't sell it. So I think through stuff like that in the short term. Have fun, be creative, try stuff but just
it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
No, I mean, in saying that, like, as far as saying I won't use it for my original, I've been on Udio. I've used it. I've spent like hours on that thing, just generating stuff. I think it's fun. I have music on my phone that I made songs in Udio because they were so good, which also is what brings the panic in me, as far as just, I've gone through deep depressions where I even want to just be like, you know what, F music, man, like, it's over. it's over. Like, why? Like, I'm already competing against an oversaturated market of everybody that has a computer or BandLab on their phone or whatever is making music. Hit songs, you know, Steve Lacy records on his iPhone. Like, hit songs are being made on people's phones. Like, it's just, it's tough as it is. But, you know, at the end of the day, music is not something that you're, it's a calling. It's something that you have to do. I really don't have a choice. All I've ever wanted to do is music. I really don't know how to do anything else. So I'm always going to make music, but AI is definitely fun, and it's a fun, it's like a game. It's a fun game. Are there AI websites that can check or certify that your music is AI or infringes on any copyright? If so, does it need to pass a certain percentage of plagiarism?
Yeah, so I'm aware that music distributors they use third-party apps to be able to see if it's AI generated. And they do this because they have to make sure that they're not distributing stuff that clearly has sampling in it. So they have the ones that they use for purposes of identifying any potential sampling. They have the ones for the AI. So yes.
There's a couple that are out there that you can just kind of Google search. But as far as like a universal one that is like, you know, the status quo, well, seeing what's happening from these lawsuits, what kind of safety measures are going to be put into place, who's going to develop the software. But of course, as soon as one software is created, there's another one to combat it that comes out 2 months later. So it's going to be an ongoing thing as far as checking that stuff. But there's definitely stuff. If you're writing a paper, I mean, there's definitely pages that can tell if it was AI generated. Do you think all these songs will force a direct-to-consumer comeback?
We're talking about it. We call it direct to fans. And, you know, I've even done these, like, you know, music business consultations with you guys, talking about that and being like, this is the strategy. You have your next EP coming up. This is what you need to do. So absolutely. But it can go hand in hand with other things. If you do want to put your music on music platforms, you can do direct to, you know, fans on your website, do that for a month, and then you put your music on music platforms. There's ways to utilize everything that's in existence right now.
But we're seeing a lot of artists that are, you know, making that move now. We're seeing it in real time. Everybody's trying it out. Now, whether it becomes, you know, the way that it's just all kind of done remains to be seen. But we're definitely seeing a lot of major artists doing that right now.
100%. Become your own record label, which is literally, if you're like, hey, I want to start a record label. Cool, I got you. Understand the entire music business. I want to set up my LLC. I want to do the marketing. It's a lot. So for example, sync licensing, for example, music marketing, it's significantly cheaper than anything you would ever get from a law firm as far as all the stuff that comes with it. And you want to make 6 figures from your music career and you want to do this for real. Like, I'm going to give you what you need.
Is it worth it to have an umbrella company LLC on top of your record label LLC?
Great question. Yeah, so, you know, this is kind of step one. If you're trying to build something in the music business, or even if it's like a different business, getting a limited liability company to protect you and your personal assets, really smart, please do it. Step 2 is if you set up another company that owns that company, so it's like a holding company, then that creates now 2 layers of potential liability shield. And there's also, it's kind of a smart way to, you know, build the business. Do you need to do it right out the gate? No. Is it a smart thing to do down the line? Yes. So good question, but definitely start with at least having an LLC.
If I already release a song and registered with BMI and got the UPC code, if I delete the song and just do a new mix on it, can I use the same UPC code? I use TuneCore, and I think they also added something later about the ISRC code as well. They were curious about.
Yeah, I think that would be fine if you, because it's you know, ISRC tracks the streams. So if it did, you know, do anything, if it was on music platforms, include that as well. UPC specifically with TuneCore, that was the one thing that we saw. They were like, ah, that's weird. For TuneCore, they tell you that if you ever, you know, sell your music, you have to pay a fee for the UPC number, which like no one else does. No one makes you, you know, pay for anything. So anyway, if you want to use the same information, if you just did like a new mix, new mastering, whatever, you know, I've had clients do that.
Would it be copyright infringement if one creates a melody that shares half of the notes, but not all the notes to a song in the same genre? Thanks for your time.
You're sneaky.
Sneaky.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a guys, you know, if you're like, it's only a couple notes here, it doesn't matter. Copyright doesn't just, and as we'll talk about in depth with this AI story coming up, you know, copyright's not going to distinguish when it comes to you actually copying someone's song and you're like, oh, it's just a couple notes. Oh, it was just a few words. Might be enough. Might be enough to be copyright infringement.
I've been in the music industry for over 25 years. A few days ago, got your record label course because I want to start my own record label. And I have to say it's been a blessing. So thank you. Well, thank you. Good to have you with us.
Awesome. Yeah. And guys, so if you are in my program, we are going to do a student huddle. So I will be emailing you, keep an eyeball on that. And you guys know I'm going to answer your questions and go through the course with you.
Can you explain the difference between performance copyright and sound recording copyright?
So the copyright related to the composition, right, is the actual song, right? So if you guys remember, I came up with the song Tree a few shows ago. And so my song, The Tree, the melody that I came up with, that's the composition. I have copyright in what I wrote. As soon as I go and actually record Tree, so it's a final recorded version, I release it on music platforms, that's the sound recording. And so there's a copyright in the sound recording. So there's two copyrights, one in the song itself, right? And then there's one in the final recorded version. Two things. That's 4. 2.